Limuru, in the heartland of Kenya's central province, is ideal for agriculture. It's lush and it's fertile. Maize farming is one of the many crops in this area where small-scale farming thrives. Improved weather conditions in the last few months have seen farmers reap a bumper harvest and are hopeful of increased returns this year.
Following the rains, farms are now green and rivers flowing.
But people are still going hungry. The country can't pump money into high-cost items like fertilizer to increase yields even further to think creatively about what crops to plant. It's been 7 years now since African Union members pledged to increase spending by at least 10% in national budgets.
It was part of the worldwide recognition of the importance of coming back to agriculture, because there was a loss of attention on agriculture for the last 3 decades, and especially the international community changed priority and put a lot of effort on social investment. But at the end of the day, before doing anything in life, you have to have the minimum of human right. It's to get enough food and enough. So it was, I think, a big decision.
Agriculture is a mainstay of the Kenyan economy and accounts for more than 24% of GDP and employs about 80% of the country's labor force directly and indirectly. Despite the central role that agriculture plays in the Kenyan economy, the sector continues to face a myriad number of challenges impacting its huge potential.
The biggest challenge we are going to have in many of these countries will be how to manage that harvest so that most of it doesn't go to waste. Typically, the storage and the post-harvest management of the produce is poor in many of our countries. And you can get losses in the order of 40% of what you have produced and produced through hard effort. So I think the biggest challenge this season will be to minimize that and help farmers with knowledge and facilities to improve storage and access to markets.
Just recently, Kenya went through a serious drought that resulted in a food crisis following a succession of poor rains that limited the country's food production. And while the situation has improved with the onset of the long rains, it is estimated that up to 10 million people in the country are still at risk of acute hunger. It is against this backdrop that has seen Africa Harvest embark on a campaign to grow traditional indigenous crops in a view to enhance food security.
This traditional indigenous crop has received little attention in terms of improving its potential, its ability to produce high quality product. This is where Africa Harvest came in with, in particular, a focus on bridging health and nutrition by working on specific type of varieties in which we have built the missing element that make a grain rich and digestible.
Currently, there are more than 5 million smallholders engaged in different types of agricultural activities in the country, but whose contribution is curtailed by lack of agricultural capacity. AGRA is, however, one organization that is providing a range of support for these farmers.
The trigger is in the areas of helping with improved seeds. Many farmers don't have much access to improved seeds. Just to give you an example, 40 years down the line since independence, less than 30% of our farmers are using improved seeds. Talk of a country like Indonesia and Malaysia and other countries that got their independence about the same time as many of our African countries, the figures will be in the order of 50 to 60%, at least double. And that's, even that 28 or 30% of Africa is in a few countries, Kenya and Zimbabwe and maybe Zambia. The rest, many of them are under 10%.
As more farmers adopt new farming techniques, experts are hopeful of a turnaround in food production and are quick to point out the success story of Malawi, which is providing valuable lessons for the continent, where more than 380 million people live on less than $1.5 a day.
4 years ago, Malawi was among the many African countries that are unable to feed its people. It used to go out and beg for food every other year. But in 4 years' time, through the good leadership of that country, they have turned it around. And the way they did it is one that provides a lot of lessons for Africans and for investors, development partners, people and institutions that are concerned about agricultural development in Africa. In simple, the government of Malawi went ahead and provided input support to large parts of their smallholder community that had no access to seeds, improved seeds, fertilizers, and extension.
It is expected that as the cost of staple foods continues to rise, smallholder farmers will have a key role to play in resolving the food crisis and unleashing Africa's potential to feed itself.